welcome back to Dixie Belle's YouTube channel. I'm Lauren from Furniture Flipping Teacher.
I've talked a lot how I really don't like flipping kitchen tables, but this one's a little bit different because it's for our Airbnb, and these are stools, not chairs that have slats or spindles or whatever else will take me 5 years to sand and paint tons and tons of times. But this one I found at a garage sale when I was just passing by for $20. So I looked out the window, saw this, and I was like, that could fit in the Airbnb. The best part is that it actually is able to go down. So it's a drop leaf table, and that is perfect because the kitchen really isn't that big up there. So I'm excited to give this a new look. It's a really solid table and 2 stools set. So let's get to it. First things first, we gotta clean. So I'm using some vinegar water that is for cleaning specifically, and this is really gonna help get all that grease and grime off of the table. Now I'm gonna be sanding, and I've also gotten a ton of questions like why sand before you, why clean before you sand? And the reason is because if you can see, there are tons and tons of areas where you can actually see the dirt and grease on the actual table, and all it's gonna do when you sand before cleaning is grind that dirt and oil into the surface of the wood, therefore making it harder for paints and stains to stick to that surface. So I know it's kind of overkill. Well, it seems like overkill if you clean and then sand and then kind of have to clean off that dust again, but there's a method to my madness, and there's a reason for doing that. Done, so we're gonna move on to sanding, and I'm gonna be using my Surf Prep 3x4 electric ray sander. Links will be down below in the description. I really quick wanted to show you guys something that I think is super cool about the Surf Prep sander. This red part right here where your sandpaper attaches to on the Velcro is called the interface pad, and one thing I love about this is that it is interchangeable. So when yours starts to look crazy like this and really worn out to where the paper won't even stick onto the Velcro anymore, you can change it out with a brand new one, and you don't have to buy an entire new sander. So I'm gonna go ahead and change this out. I've been using this day in and day out in the Airbnb renovation, so it's definitely time to get a new one on here. All you have to do is undo these small screws with an Allen wrench, pop this off, and then pop the new one back on. Much better. So now I can actually attach my sandpaper and it won't come loose unless I physically peel it off, just like it's supposed to do. So I am gonna be using an 80 grit sandpaper because I'm actually gonna be sanding the finish off of all of the surfaces of this table and stool set. So this is gonna take a little while, but using the 80 grit with my Surf Prep is really gonna help get those layers off a little bit quicker because it's a little bit of a lower grit of sandpaper. I've also got my Surf Prep sander connected to the Surf Prep vacuum dust extractor, and that's just really gonna help mitigate with the dust flying in the air. It'll suck it all up, and that's HEPA, so it's really not it's better for your lungs than just wearing a mask. But still, if you want, you could wear a mask for precaution. I sanded all of the original finish off, and now I want to stain it. But I really don't want to stain it back to the same color that it was, nor do I really want it to be dark at all, because this is going in the kitchen in the upstairs Airbnb, and I was thinking that it would be really neat to match, not match, but complement the countertop. And so I really want to keep it light, but I don't want it to be completely raw wood. So I'm gonna be using Dixie Belle's newer color, Au Naturel, which is their Voodoo gel stain, but it is water-based, which you guys know I really prefer to use water-based stains because the cleanup is much easier, it dries really quickly. There's so many more benefits to the water-based stain versus an oil-based stain. So I've got my applicator pad here, and this is just gonna help me put this stain on nice and even. And this is in a really awesome bottle because all you've got to do is squeeze it out. You don't have to be dipping anything into it, and you've got pretty much full control in this bottle here. So I'm gonna start off by squeezing some out onto my application pad, and then all I'm gonna do is wipe it across the surface of the table. And again, we're just pretty much evening out all of those color tones. It's really not going to be too much different, but there is going to be a slight difference in the way that it looks. There's a lot of different wood tones going on, so evening them out with this stain is our goal. So this is really not doing too much to the color, but the one thing that I'm noticing is that it is really lessening those yellow tones in the wood. So instead of being super yellow, it's kind of making it a little bit more tan instead. So I really like that because those yellow tones were pretty prominent once I sanded all of that darker wood tone off. So I'm really liking how it's turning out so far. We've got this leg and another leg, and then I'll move on to these stools. Getting a little bit on my hand. You could use gloves, but again, since this is water-based, it's gonna be super easy cleanup. All I'll need to do is wash my hands with soap and water real quick, and it'll all be off my hands. Done with the stain. So now that will dry, and then we'll come back when it's all dry for the top coat. All right, it is a little bit windy today, so I apologize if there's a little wind noise on the mic, but it's time to finish up this kitchen table set. And with that, I'm gonna be doing the top coat. So I'm gonna be using Dixie Belle's clear coat in the color, or in the sheen of satin. So this is gonna be between the flat and the gloss. This is pretty much my go-to sheen and top coat on any furniture. Now don't get me wrong, I use the flat and occasionally we'll use the gloss, but the satin is like right down the middle lane, just how I like it. It's not too flat, it's not too shiny, but again, that's completely personal preference. And I'll probably do 2 coats of the satin on both the seats and the table so that we can really protect it. Now, we're not really gonna be protecting it from like the stain rubbing off, because the stain, the water-based stain, it really seeps down into the wood. So I'm not too worried about that, but mostly this is gonna protect from any deep scratches or gouges that could happen with just the wear and tear of multiple people using the table over time, as it's gonna be in the Airbnb. So I'll link everything down below that I've been using over the course of this furniture flip. I'm gonna load up my spray gun because typically I think that you're going to get the best finish and the best results with a spray gun. Even if you wanna brush on your paint, the top coat is pretty much, it's just gonna be the best finish for your top coat if you use that spray gun. So let's get that loaded up and we'll top coat these guys. All right, so the first top coat is on there. You can't really tell a difference. I know it's hard to see on camera, but again, this is so necessary for it to just be protected over all of the wear and tear. And so once this first coat dries, I'm gonna go ahead and do a second coat, and then we'll be ready for the final reveal of the table and stools. All right, time for coat number 2. All right, and just like that, the table and chairs are finished. I can't wait to get these upstairs in the kitchen, in the Airbnb. And you guys, this was a pretty easy flip, to be completely honest. It was a bit time consuming, especially considering all of the sanding that I had to do. But other than that, everything else went really quick. And again, I really didn't do that much to it. It wasn't that much of a drastic change. All I did was sanded off the old finish, stained a new one on, and put a top coat on for protection. And this is the final result. So let me know what you guys think of the final result of this table and chairs. $20 turned into this. I think that it was a great investment for the Airbnb upstairs, and it's gonna be that perfect size for the smaller kitchen up there, but still usable for our guests to be able to have breakfast or any other meals, or even do some work at that table. All right, anyway, you guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the flip side.